So Donald won't be getting his way for now. It looks like the Fed will be on hold until at least Powell goes in May.
And you would imagine Trump will be pulling his hair out after this. And we all know he cannot afford to lose any more.
No, he can't.
So we've seen a weaker pound this week, Paul.
Yeah, it started to drift lower on Monday, but we saw a major reaction to Tuesday's employment data, with cable losing over a cent and sterling euro losing around half a cent.
But surprisingly, there was no further sell-off after Wednesday's inflation data, which showed price pressures falling to the lowest level since March.
Well, the headline number was as expected, but some components of the data, including the services inflation, did not fall as expected.
But both pieces of data increased the likelihood of a rate cut next month.
Yeah, markets think that there's a 90% chance of a rate reduction in March.
So a 10% chance they don't?
Yeah, according to Polymarkets, but Polymarkets also think there's a 10% chance that the US will confirm aliens exist before the end of 2027.
Aliens exist?
Well, yeah, it might not be as unlikely as you think. Lara Trump, Donald's daughter-in-law, made a claim on Wednesday that Trump has a speech pre-written and ready to announce the discovery of aliens. Maybe he'll do it at next week's State of the Union address.
Fair enough. Might be worth putting a fiver on Polymarkets then.
Yeah, it could be.
So Trump will address Congress and the American public next week in State of Union speech. Apart from aliens, what are expected to say?
Well, it's normally an update on how the country is doing economically and often used to confirm future policies. But this is Donald Trump. Would anything he says surprise you?
No, I wouldn't actually, no. So, Fed minutes came out on Wednesday evening and the dollar strengthened.
Yeah, no rate cuts on the horizon. The minutes show policymakers were divided, and some are even prepared to raise rates if inflation proves persistent. So Donald won't be getting his way for now. It looks like the Fed will be on hold until at least Powell goes in May.
And you would imagine Trump will be pulling his hair out after this. And we all know he cannot afford to lose any more.
No, he can't.
A bit of ECB news on Wednesday. Christine Lagarde could be getting on her bike.
Yeah, the FT reported that she may step down before the end of her term.
And why is that?
It seems it would be more of a political move, with Macron due to finish his presidential term in May next year and Lagarde in October. If she quit before him, Macron could have a say in the next head of the central bank and potentially block one favoured by the far right if they manage to win the election next year.
And as Euro's second biggest economy, France has a big say on who would be appointed. And no ECB president has ever been picked up without a Paris approval.
Yeah, correct.
And we have geopolitical tensions rising.
Yeah, we do. CBS reported on Thursday that the US military is preparing for a potential strikes on Iran as early as Saturday. And Iran is conducting military drills with Russia in the Gulf of Oman and the Indian Ocean.
So markets will be monitoring for military escalation.
Yeah, and if it does escalate, oil prices would go up naturally, along with safe havens, and riskier assets such as sterling could decline.
And next week, what are we looking out for?
Well, as previously mentioned, State of Union address, geopolitical tensions, as well as the Galton and Denton by-election, which appears to be a close call at the moment between Reform and the Greens.
What, Monster Raven Looney Party ain't got no chance?
So you'd think in this current world, still Oinkalot should be a shoo-in.
Yeah.
But data-wise, not a lot happening.